Yeah, from Daisy Dukes to business.
Hi, it's me, Dr. J, with Behavior Health and Wellness. Today we have the opportunity to speak with Miss Franchesca, the editor of Swag Her magazine. I hope that you enjoy the interview. Let's take a look. Hi, it's me, Dr. J. Thank you for joining us today. I am here. I have been blessed and graced with the presence of Miss Fancy from Swag Her magazine. How are you today?
Greetings. I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I mean, this has been a very highly anticipated interview, as I've told you in our private conversations. Just looking at some of the great things that you are doing with your publication and just representing just so incredibly well. I am honored to have you today. So, before I go on and on about how excited I am, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So, basically, I am an award-winning publisher and editor. I publish Swagger Magazine, which is an empowerment and lifestyle publication for the Black community. I'm a mom of three. I attended Southern University. I was a teen mom, so my kids are kind of old. So I'm like, I'm kind of going through the phase of what do you do when you now have teenagers and small kids,
Right.
and yeah, that's it. I'm very passionate about my work and writing and just about being Black, to be honest. Like that's something that I'm very passionate about.
Great. And before we get into Swagger Magazine, I heard you mention that you attended Southern University, one of my alma maters also. So what did you study at Southern?
Mass comm with a focus in public relations.
Okay, great. So, Swag Her Magazine, give us the background, some information on this great publication for people who may not be familiar with Swagger.
So swag her, and just to be clear, that's SWAGHER. Someone suggested I start spelling it out. So just to make certain people know who we are. Swagger started in 2010 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and it was inspired by the stories that I was being told at that time, like by other Black women that were in business. At the time, I knew that I wanted to do something creative. I knew I wanted to be a business owner. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I've been writing since like the first grade. So I knew that that was like a strong point that I had, a skill that I had. And so, as I was like getting discouraged a lot of the times, the different women that I was around, most of them were older than me, but they would just share these stories about things that they'd gone through in life and how that helped them to get to wherever they were that, at that time. And
Right.
I was so inspired because I had just recently moved to Baton Rouge. And to me, like I'm originally from Macomb, Mississippi, which is a small town. So when I moved to Baton Rouge, like I thought that was the city. And then that was my first time really seeing, Black women who were business owners outside of someone that owned a salon, and the different things that they were doing, the way that they lived. I was really impressed and I just, wanted to be like them, but it seems like that was so far out of my reach. So I started writing there. I started interviewing other people. I initially wanted to go into public relations, but people would suggest that I would interview other people.
Right.
So I don't know if at the time, I don't think a lot of people really understood what public relations is, but I would do the interviews, and that's just kind of like how the magazine began to come together. One day, I was on the phone with my mentor, and basically, like I was crying because I was a part of this other organization and my checking account was in a negative. Like I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And she was like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, oh, I want to own a magazine. And so that's just, and she was like, well, do it. And like over the next few days, I went and got registered, and that's what I began to start doing.
Right. And it's funny because I have on many occasions heard you do what you love and your finances will flow. Do what you love and your money will come. One of my biggest challenges and also just talking with other people is finding out what do you love. That can take up a whole lot of time if you don't understand what your passion is. So the good thing about that is you had an idea where you want to go, your eyes were focused, and you know what, I want to write, I want to start a magazine. So that was a great thing.
Yeah.
Good. So tell me about your clientele. Who will read your magazine?
So when I look at our clientele, it's basically, while they are in two separate groups, because on one end we do provide content, and then on the other end we also provide services.
Right.
But so overall, though, our readers are Black women between the ages of 25 through 50, and that is kind of like, whereas the same group of women that we provide our services to as well, and then Black men ages 35 through 50. And again, that kind of still aligns with the same group of those that we that we offer our services to. Usually they are, they have some type of degree, like 70% of our readers are parents. So that's a good thing. And, basically they're business owners for the most part. Most of them are business owners because they were either interested in advertising at some point, or they're looking, they're learning, and we provide a lot of business content. So that also kind of helps us to bring in other clients as well.
Okay, so your stories. What can you tell me a little bit about one of your stories that stands out, a memorable story at this time that you can just still resonate with, that just made you say, you know what, this is definitely the right thing that I'm supposed to be doing?
Oh, wow. It seems like there are several, but I'm not too many of them are coming to mind.
Okay.
But one I think is when I interviewed David Banner,
Okay.
like just to pick his brain and then see that we kind of thought the same way in a lot of situations, because that's kind of like the beauty of it. A lot of times the interviews, we do get to go inside these people's brains,
Right.
and then to identify with them makes it all, it makes it more rewarding in a lot of ways.
Right.
But I've also interviewed like a lot of women that just have overcame so much.
Right.
Oftentimes I'll be reading or we're talking and I'm like, oh my God, that happened,
Right.
like, can you
Right.
survive that? And so I just think that everybody has a story. It just really depends on how well you know how to tell it, for one, and if you're comfortable with telling it. But I've heard so many. I know over hundreds by now.
Great.
By
I
now.
mean, look, I think that, once we start doing these interviews, I'm a troublemaker. So I will ask you questions that's gonna make you say, wait a minute, what?
And
But
look, and I just got one.
okay.
Actually, I had for years been dealing with imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really know what it was. Someone just actually, like in 2019, someone told me, "Hey, I really think that's what you're dealing with." And I spent like the next year trying to find out more about it. And this
Right.
interview actually ended up being on Theories and Thoughts, my podcast. It ended up being with Dr. Shante Holly, and I had saw her talking about how imposter syndrome can cause us to like procrastinate
Right.
and not reach our goals. And so just as she was sitting there and giving all the symptoms and just describing how everything was connected, I was just so taken, because she basically helped me fix my problem. I
Okay.
didn't even have to go to anyone, like, because I identified again with everything that she was saying, and I realized that I have been battling with imposter syndrome since I was possibly a kid. Just
Right.
like all my life I have been dealing with it, and just the way she broke it down was so,
So profound.
it was just
Right.
easy for us to grasp. So that was possibly one of my best interviews, one of my most
Right.
favorite ones.
It sounds like it was. And you know what? As a doctor of behavioral health and a social worker, I must let you know, if you are not diagnosed with imposter syndrome, you may identify with a lot of the different ailments, or you may say that I have some of the symptoms, but it's not diagnosed. We all
Okay.
come close to stuff, but I don't want you to self-diagnose yourself.
Okay.
And I would be remiss to let you diagnose yourself right now. And I'm sitting here saying,
No, I appreciate it.
She is. You know what? I think sometimes we all have that out about it syndrome. We all have things that we do that will put us in a category. But
Mm,
right now, especially in this time in the African American community, also where we don't really embrace therapy,
right.
we are really going through a lot and we're suffering through a lot. And we take on these tags. I remember before I got into social work, I used to like roll off my tongue, oh, I'm antisocial. It was nowhere near antisocial. I talk to everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't see you as being antisocial.
You know what? I figured out where I got it from. My sister,
Oh, really?
she all the time. I was like, it's always just you and I. You really do think, I mean, this is world, but you're not even antisocial now that I'm getting into understanding what antisocial is. We got to stop giving ourselves these tags. And I know that right now I listen to just try to keep up with all different genres and different age groups. And right now they have the I'm bipolar. Oh, when I hear it, it's like, no, you're not bipolar. We have to
Yeah.
make sure that we understand that we can't just diagnose ourselves with things because we take on those different attributes and then we start thinking it's us, and in most cases it's not. It's most of the time we just multitask. We are very busy. We are just looking for something. But I'm glad that you were able to resonate and kind of put whatever perspective you needed to put into play because
Hmm.
it's come. Look, Swag Her is here. Swag Her is doing great and bringing some great people to the forefront. And I'm glad that you're able to have this platform. And I know that the people who you interview are glad for that as well. So
Yes.
that's just my little plug. I'm like, wait a minute. But that social worker came out. But let me know, tell me about who your accountability partner is. I think I know who you're gonna say, but let you say.
Okay, so I would definitely have to say Jamil, who is our VP of marketing. Jamil has been with me for 9 years, 9 of the 10 that we've been in existence. So just to actually have someone believe in me, especially way back when,
Right.
is I think that's one of the most beautiful things. Like I don't have the words for that because that's just a whole different type of support. But
Right.
also also he's the one that stays on me. So people think he works for me. In a lot of ways, I kind of work for him. So he's gonna make certain that he advocates for the clients and just make certain that everything is done, and I appreciate that. But then there's also my co-hostess of Theories and Thoughts, Anya. Anya is a big accountability partner, and it's a while they're both accountability partners, I realize like there's still I pull different things from each of them. I think because Jamel as a man, like men go about business in a different sense to me than women do. So a lot of the times where I'm concerned with something, he just like, oh girl, go ahead on, and I'm like,
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
no, we can't so. But in Anya, it's like really having that business bestie there that's constantly, helping you to strive for more and just but still with that feminine type of touch, that we as women have. So yeah, so those are my biggest two right there.
Right. And I heard you mention Anya. I think that Anya and I have some things in common. She is from New Orleans, right?
Yeah, she
Right.
is.
That is great. You know what? I'm glad that you have that support that you need because in any business you do, we need our accountability partners. We need to have support. And in order to grow, we have to have people around us that share our vision. So I'm glad you're able
Right.
to identify with that. So before we actually get out of here, I want you to give us information and let us know where can we find Swagger? Where can we do we subscribe to the magazine, or how are you all getting the publication out?
Okay. So first off, you can visit our website, which is swagher.net. That's SWAGHER.net. And then, of course, our Instagram is our biggest social media platform. So we are on Instagram as Swagger Magazine. I'm on Instagram as Fancy Swagger. Then there's our Facebook, which is growing to be like our second biggest platform. there we are, Swag Her Magazine again. And I have my own profile, like, you know, like a public figure page. So that's Franchesca Fancy Felder. If you go by the little handle things, though, it's like fancy, go get them. That's like a old thing from an old section of the magazine. But also we are on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. Everything again is Swagger Magazine. As far as emails, you can always contact us at advertise@swagger.net or info@swagger.net.
Okay, and one more question for you. Can you tell me who is an interview that you would like to have?
I kind of want to go with, it's like a big part of me really wants to say Jill Scott. I would love to sit down with her, just understand where she gets all her wisdom, because it seems like she had it at an early age or something. I don't know, you know, and just pick her brain.
Right, she's phenomenal. Well,
Yeah.
Fancy, you have been so great, and I knew it was going to be a wonderful interview. I look forward to sharing it with my followers. And in the meantime, make sure you pick up a copy and subscribe to Swag Her Magazine. You enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for taking your time out your busy schedule.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Peace and blessings.
Napoleon Hill once said, "There are no limitations to the mind except for those we acknowledge." I hope you enjoyed that interview with Franchesca of Swag Her Magazine. And remember, if you know someone who's doing great things in the community and you'd like to nominate them for Bossed Up, make sure you send us an email to behavior.healthandwellness@gmail.com. It's me, Dr. J, and I would like to thank you for being here with us today. You know how we say it. In the meantime, in between time, you be well. Thank you.